Now, you remember your child taking their first steps, speaking their first words? I think it's safe to assume that these milestones had you beaming with joy. The next greatest and most critical milestone for all young ones is learning to read. And many parents are anxious to get their children up and running as soon as possible. And I'm here to tell you that timing is very important. Too soon, and your child might experience one failure after another and equate reading as an experience equal to a trip to the dentist office. Now, we want our children to form a love of reading, to find joy and satisfaction in the written word. Starting off on the right foot will make all the difference in the world. And the goal today is to equip you with the knowledge of what to look for and help you start your reading lessons with the utmost confidence that you are indeed starting when the time is right. Now, one of the earliest and most encouraging signs that a child is ready to begin learning to read is a genuine fascination with books. When you pull out a book and read to your child, how do they engage with the material? Do they ask questions? Do they express which stories they like best? Are they aware that each book contains a different story? Are they careful not to tear the pages when you allow them to turn the pages on their own? And are they gravitating toward a bookshelf and choosing favorites on their own? Now, it may be strictly based on the cover art, and that's perfectly okay, because at this stage, aesthetics is everything. On the other hand, if you randomly find page 6 of Cat in the Hat under the sofa, or that books are still more about how they taste rather than the stories they contain, you might want to keep a lookout for signs of improvement and revisit evidence of readiness in about a month or two. Now, here's an example of what I would consider a huge green flag. Just the other day, my wife was telling me about a little girl in her class who approached her with a drawing. My wife asked about the pictures. She told her that she drew a car, a sun, and a giant flower. It looked more like a tree. After she explained the artwork, she flipped the paper over. My wife noticed some wavy lines. Now, she thought they might have been water. But before she could ask, the little girl said, "Well, now it's your turn. This is for you to read." So you don't ignore moments like that. Now, digging deeper, you want to look for increasing awareness of print in the world around them. Now, you might notice your child pointing out signs on street signs, cereal boxes, or even logos on their toys and clothing. They may ask, "Well, what does this say?" Or exclaim that, "Hey, I know that letter," and point to a letter in their name. Thus begins a process called letter recognition, like spotting the S in stop or noticing the shape of the letter O in a sign. Now, some children might even begin to connect sounds and letters together, saying things like is for mummy. Now, these small moments of recognition are powerful indicators that they're developing what educators call print awareness, a critical foundation for reading readiness. In addition to noticing letters, many children show readiness through wordplay and pre-reading behaviors. They might spontaneously rhyme words like cat, bat, and hat, or giggle at silly alliterations like bouncing baby bubbles. This is a sign of phonemic awareness, meaning they're beginning to understand that words are made up of distinct sounds and they play around with those sounds. They might also pretend to read books by reciting memorized lines or inventing their own stories as they turn the pages. This kind of pretend reading is a fantastic stepping stone, and it shows that your child comprehends the idea of storytelling and is beginning to grasp the structure and flow of the narrative. Another important factor to consider is your child's ability to focus on short tasks. If they can sit through a quick puzzle, coloring sheet, or a few pages of a book without becoming too restless, they may be ready for short, fun reading lessons. You might also see them taking an interest in writing or scribbling. Some children might even attempt to write their name, even if it's just squiggles, or mimic the shapes of letters on paper. Now, some call this inventive spelling. Fine motor control and an interest in writing can go hand in hand in early childhood or with early reading readiness, as it shows they're eager to use letters in a meaningful way. Now, finally, pay attention to their memory and retention of stories. If your child can recall details of a tale that you just read to them, like the name of the characters or the sequence of events or specific story elements, it's a strong sign they're mentally engaging with the text. This ability to recall and remember not only points to strong listening skills, but also suggests they'll be receptive to formal reading instruction. Now, all these signs taken together indicate a growing awareness of language and the connection to the printed page. Clear proof that your child is ready to take that exciting next step toward becoming a confident, joyful reader. Now, with all this said, you might start to panic. While there are so many benefits to starting as early as possible, you may be a little worried that they're not showing much interest in books at all. Now, this is perfectly fine when your child is 2, 3, or even 4 years old. But the clock is ticking, and before you know it, they're starting school without the advantage of at least knowing some letter sounds ahead of time. But fear not. There are ways in which we can give a gentle nudge in the right direction and encourage reading readiness. Here's how we do it. You want to make reading fun and interactive. That's a given. Let them turn the pages, point to pictures, or guess what happens next in the story. Ask simple questions like, what color is the dog? Or how many apples do you see? Involve them as much as possible. We want to steer our children away from being passive observers to becoming active participants. Location and environment play important roles in helping your children see that reading and books are important. Now, you may wish to create a small reading corner in your home with comfy pillows, a variety of age-appropriate books. When you display some of the books they've taken an interest in out in the open, we are sending a positive message that we value their choices too, and that books are important no matter who they're written for. Now, allow your child to choose books from the shelf and reward them for returning them to their original place, like a regular library, except for the late fees. This encourages a spirit of independence and positive feelings about reading. Now, you're welcome to explore this further in my latest book, Teach Your Child to Read, The Ultimate Guide, under the heading, Creating a Literacy-Rich Environment. There's a link to the book in the description below. Now, taking this a step further, we might want to point out words on cereal boxes, road signs, and even grocery lists. Recipe books are incredible teaching tools. Bring your child into the kitchen, choose a delicious recipe from a cookbook, maybe a yummy batch of chocolate fudge cookies. Read the instructions out loud as you prepare and bake these superfine cookies. When they take their first bite, explain to them that if Mommy could not read from the book, there wouldn't be any cookies. They will soon appreciate that books are almost magical. You may also wish to label common things they interact with around the home. This will help them understand that there is a written word that represents everything they see, touch, taste, etc. Now, I can't guarantee that when you label the cat, the post-it note is going to stay there for very long. Now, who says you have to stick with books and labels? Alphabet puzzles, magnetic letters on the fridge, and fun educational apps can all support early literacy skills. When anything feels like a game, even adults learn quicker. Imagine how it feels when your child thinks that words and books are fun. When the lessons finally do start, they will take to them like white on rice. I can't stress this final suggestion enough. Read aloud to your child every day. Be as consistent as humanly possible. Just 10 to 15 minutes at each time can make a huge difference. Let them see your love of reading as well. When they see you deeply engrossed in the latest Tom Clancy novel, they will be intrigued that a book can stir the range of emotions they see in you when you're reading from a collection of your favorite authors. Remember, every child is unique, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach. If your child shows readiness signs, interest in books, recognizes letters, and ability to focus and enjoy word games, it might be time to introduce structured reading lessons. The benefits of starting as soon as possible are tremendous. Increased confidence, stronger communication skills, and a powerful head start to a well-rounded education. It may also give you a chance to spot learning challenges early enough to take specific actions to help them succeed. Now, if you made it this far, I want to reward you with a free reading readiness checklist that will guide you through this process with greater clarity and confidence. The link is also in the description below. Now, I've been teaching children to read for over 20 years. Teaching a child to read isn't easy, But given the right tools, it might just be the easiest thing you ever do. It is my mission to empower parents with methods and resources that will make teaching your child to read a joy, an absolute success, and a bonding experience your child will never forget. Is your child ready to read? You're still the best person to answer that question, especially now that you know what to look for. I'll see you next time.